We need to go deeper in prayer. And, we hear that all the time. And I think some of us who aren't very, like myself, who aren't really pushing ourselves to pray as much as we could and should, we probably, because it's easy to justify ourselves, we probably say, well, yeah, okay, we need to pray. But I mean, so it's going to change anything? I mean, right? Do we do that? Do we have those thoughts in our head? So what's interesting is that, and this reminds me of another story that I heard from an elder in Mount Athos, is that when people sincerely and consistently pray, things change around them, in their life, but in the world generally. You've heard me say many times about that analogy of the boiling pot that we've heard back in the from the during our series on the Russian New Martyrs, right? And that our little sin, could be the last drop that boils over this pot and brings about a very grave evil. Well, in this, reversely speaking, our prayer, our sincere compunction and contrite prayer in our prayer corner, far from any kind of worldly accolades or whatever, that could be the drop of grace that pours over and brings people to compunction and contrition. And I think that's what's missing in the world. Now, we're struggling here. We're doing all kinds of missionary activity. That's all good. It's really not bad. God forbid that we would be doing something that's not good. But on the hierarchy of things, we have to always remember that's not the first, right? It's not the first. The first is prayer, repentance and prayer, humility and prayer, obedience and prayer. And the reason why we see so much more evil going on in the world is precisely because Christians, Orthodox Christians, and everyone who calls the name of Christ are not praying as we should. We're not men and women of prayer, deep prayer. And that's a part of why evil continues to grow. It seems like exponentially so. So we have all kinds of evil things with distortions of human beings, but also even the natural events. One of the things we've lost in the modern world with our rational scientific approach to the nature of things and a loss of the love of God and the belief of his providence is exactly that we see through and in nature and all the events that happen, the hand of God's providence, allowing or directing people to repentance. So if one doesn't have a prayerful, humble stance, he cannot understand and see the providence of God in his life. And then there's a huge chasm that the fallen star and the demons, they fill it up. They go into that abyss. They go into that absence of prayer. The grace of God is not being enjoyed because it's not being asked to come upon us. Heavenly King will come and abide in us. It's not happening, which is essential. That synergy with God. And then there's a huge opening for the enemy. And we see those who've given themselves over to the enemy, identified with his quote unquote salvation. They have no obstructions in the demonic realm. There's nothing to resist all of their advances. So very, very important prayer, watchfulness, supplicating the Lord so that we may be counted worthy to escape all that will come to pass from the plagues recorded in Revelation. Thus, at the return of the Son of Man, we may stand firmly, knowing that he is the fulfillment of our holy expectation.